I pulled into our driveway that Thursday evening, the Tesla's keys feeling heavier in my pocket than they should have. 3 months of overtime, extra projects, and skipped lunches had finally paid off. The promotion came through, and I wanted to surprise her with something special, something that showed her I was thinking about our future together. The house felt different when I walked in. Too quiet. Usually, she'd be watching Netflix or scrolling through her phone, but the living room was empty. I found her in the kitchen, standing with her back to me, staring out the window at nothing in particular. "Hey, how was your day?" I asked, setting my work bag down. She turned around slowly. Her face was pale, and she had that look, you know the one. The look that says whatever's coming next is going to change everything. "We need to talk." I felt my stomach drop, but I kept my voice steady. "Okay, what's going on?" She took a deep breath and crossed her arms. "I think we should separate." The words hit me like a punch to the gut, but I didn't let it show. Separate? Where is this coming from? It's not working between us anymore. I've been thinking about this for weeks. Weeks. She'd been planning this while I was working extra hours to buy her a surprise. The irony wasn't lost on me. "Is there someone else?" I asked directly. She hesitated for just a moment too long. "It's not like that. It's just Marcus lost everything in his business. His divorce cleaned him out completely, and he really needs support right now. He needs me more than you do." Marcus. Her ex-boyfriend from college. The same guy she told me was ancient history when we started dating 5 years ago. "So let me get this straight," I said, leaning against the counter. "You want to leave me to go help your ex-boyfriend who's broke? You're making it sound worse than it is. You're successful. You have your career. You don't need me. Marcus is struggling, and I can't just abandon him when he's at his lowest point." The audacity was breathtaking. I reached into my pocket and felt the Tesla keys, the same keys I'd been planning to surprise her with tomorrow morning. The car that was sitting in the dealership lot with her name on the registration. "You've got it all figured out, then," I said calmly. "I know this is hard to understand, but I have to do what's right. Marcus and I have history. We understand each other in ways that—" "Stop." I held up my hand. "Just stop talking." She looked surprised by my tone. Maybe she expected me to beg, to fight for her, to make some dramatic speech about our marriage. Instead, I walked to the kitchen drawer and pulled out a notepad. "Here's what's going to happen," I said, scribbling down a name and number. "You can contact my attorney on Monday if you want to make this official. I'm not going to stand in your way." Her mouth fell open. "That's it? You're not even going to try to work this out?" I looked at her for a long moment, the woman I'd been married to for 3 years. The woman I'd been planning to surprise with a $30,000 car. The woman who was telling me her ex-boyfriend's needs were more important than our marriage. "You just told me another man needs you more than I do. What exactly am I supposed to work out? I thought you'd understand. I thought you'd be supportive of me helping someone who's going through a tough time." Supportive? I almost laughed. "You want me to be supportive of you leaving me for your ex? It's not like that." "Then what is it like? Because from where I'm standing, it sounds like you're choosing him over me, and you want my blessing to do it." She started to say something, but I was done with the conversation. I grabbed my keys and headed for the door. "Where are you going?" she called after me. "Out. When I get back, I expect you to be packed if you're serious about this separation." "You're being dramatic." I turned around at the front door. "No, I'm being practical. You've made your choice. I'm just accepting it faster than you expected." I drove around town for 2 hours, trying to process what had just happened. The Tesla keys were still in my pocket, a constant reminder of how completely I'd misread my own marriage. When I got back home, half her clothes were gone, and there was a note on the kitchen counter saying she'd be staying with Marcus temporarily. I crumpled up the note and threw it in the trash. Then I called the dealership and told them I wouldn't be picking up the car after all. Some surprises just aren't meant to be. The next morning, I woke up in an empty house for the first time in 3 years. No coffee brewing, no shower running, no sounds of her getting ready for work. Just silence. And honestly, it wasn't as devastating as I thought it would be. I made my own coffee and sat at the kitchen table, looking at the attorney's business card I'd written down the night before. Carter Mitchell, divorce attorney. A buddy from work had recommended him after his own messy divorce 2 years ago. My phone buzzed. A text from her: "I hope you can understand why I had to do this. Marcus is in a genuinely tough spot." I deleted it without responding. Around noon, my neighbor Beatrice knocked on the door. She was in her 60s, retired, and knew everyone's business on the street. "I saw her leaving with suitcases yesterday," she said, not bothering with small talk. "Everything okay?" "We're separating," I said simply. Beatrice's eyebrows shot up. "Well, that's sudden. Though I have to say, I'm not entirely surprised." "What do you mean?" She glanced around as if checking for eavesdroppers. "I didn't want to say anything before, but I've seen a man picking her up a few times when you were at work. Different car each time, always during lunch hours." My jaw tightened. "How long has this been going on?" "Maybe 2 months. I minded my own business because, well, it wasn't my place." "But if you're separating anyway." 2 months. While I was working overtime to afford her surprise, she was sneaking around with Marcus during her lunch breaks. "Thanks for telling me, Beatrice. For what it's worth, I think you're better off. You're a good man. You deserve someone who appreciates that." After she left, I called Carter Mitchell and scheduled an appointment for Monday morning. Then I did something I hadn't done in months. I called my buddy Ryan and asked if he wanted to grab a beer. "About time," he said. "Haven't heard from you in forever. She keep you on that tight a leash?" "Not anymore. I'll explain when I see you." We met at O'Brien's, a sports bar downtown. Ryan was already nursing a beer when I arrived. "So what's the story?" he asked as I sat down. I gave him the abbreviated version. His expression shifted from surprise to disgust. "Let me get this straight. She wants to leave you to go play house with her broke ex-boyfriend. That's the size of it. And she had the nerve to frame it like she was doing some noble thing. She actually said he needs her more than you do." Ryan shook his head. "Man, the audacity of some people. What are you going to do?" "Already called a lawyer. Meeting with him Monday." "Good. Don't let her drag this out. Cut it clean and move on." We spent the next 2 hours talking about everything except my marriage. It felt good to have a normal conversation with another adult. I realized how long it had been since I'd done anything social without her controlling every detail. When I got home that evening, there were 3 missed calls from her and 2 voicemails. I didn't listen to them. Instead, I opened a beer and ordered pizza. When was the last time I'd ordered pizza without having to negotiate toppings or worry about her diet restrictions? My phone rang again, her name on the screen. I let it go to voicemail. The house felt different now. Bigger somehow. Quieter, but not in a lonely way. More like peaceful. I could hear the neighbor's dog barking, cars passing on the street, the hum of the refrigerator, normal sounds I hadn't noticed when she was here, always talking or playing videos on her phone. Sunday morning, I did something I hadn't done in years. I slept until 9, made pancakes for breakfast, and watched football without anyone complaining about the volume or asking me to change the channel. Around noon, my phone rang. Unknown number. "Hello. Is this about Vivian Robertson?" The voice was older, gravelly. "Who is this?" "Eddie Grant. I used to work construction with Marcus before his business went under. Your wife called me asking about him." I sat up straighter. What did she want to know? She was asking if what he told her about losing everything was true. Wanted to know if I'd seen him around, if he was really struggling like he claimed. And Eddie laughed, but there was no humor in it. "That's the thing. Marcus didn't lose anything. His business is doing fine. Matter of fact, he just bought himself a new truck last month. Expensive one, too." The pieces clicked into place. She'd been lied to. Sounds like it. Thought you should know. Marcus always was a smooth talker, especially with women who felt sorry for him. After Eddie hung up, I sat there staring at my phone. Marcus had played her perfectly, fed her some sob story about being broke and desperate, knowing she'd eat it up. And she fell for it completely. The irony was almost funny. She left me to help someone who didn't need help, while I was the one actually working overtime to improve our life. I should have felt vindicated. Should have wanted to call her and tell her she'd been played. Instead, I felt something else entirely: relief. She'd made her choice. The fact that it was based on lies just proved how little she really knew about making good decisions. Monday morning came with a sense of purpose I hadn't felt in months. I met with Carter Mitchell at 9 sharp. He was a no-nonsense guy in his 50s, the kind of lawyer who cut through emotional drama and focused on facts. "Standard separation case," he said after I explained the situation. "No kids, minimal shared assets since you kept your finances mostly separate. Should be straightforward. She's staying with her ex-boyfriend. Does that complicate things?" Carter raised an eyebrow. "Actually, it simplifies them. Makes her intentions pretty clear. We'll file for divorce based on abandonment and adultery. Should expedite the process." I signed the initial paperwork and left his office feeling lighter than I had in weeks. Instead of going straight to work, I stopped at a coffee shop I'd never been to before, the kind of place she would have complained was too pretentious or too expensive. The barista was a college-aged guy named Felix. "First time here?" "Yeah." "What do you recommend?" "Depends. You looking for something safe, or want to try something new?" "New sounds good." He made me some elaborate drink with 3 different types of beans. It was actually pretty good. I sat by the window, watching people walk by, checking emails on my phone, normal Monday morning stuff, except I wasn't rushing to get home to update her on my day or asking what she wanted for dinner. Work was different, too. I actually stayed late Tuesday because I wanted to finish a project, not because I was avoiding going home. My supervisor Janet noticed. "You seem more focused lately," she said Wednesday afternoon. "Just trying to stay productive." "Well, whatever you're doing, keep it up. The Morrison account loved your presentation yesterday." It was funny how much clearer my thinking became when I wasn't constantly distracted by relationship drama. For months, I'd been trying to balance work stress with whatever mood she was in when I got home. Now I could just focus on doing good work. Thursday evening, my phone started ringing again. Her number. I was making dinner, so I let it go. Then it rang again. And again. Finally, I answered. "What?" "Don't hang up, please. I need to talk to you." Her voice sounded different, strained. "I'm listening." "Things with Marcus they're not what I expected." I kept stirring my pasta sauce. "Meaning?" "He's not as grateful as I thought he'd be. And some of the things he told me about his situation don't add up." I said nothing. "I think I might have made a mistake." "Might have." "Okay. I made a mistake. A big one. But we can fix this, right? We can work through this." I turned off the burner and leaned against the counter. "Let me ask you something. When you decided to leave, did you think about what it would do to me?" "Of course I did, but..." "No, I don't think you did. I think you saw what you wanted and took it, regardless of the consequences. Now that it's not working out the way you planned, you want to undo it. That's not fair." "Fair?" I almost laughed. "You left me for another man, and you want to talk about fair?" "It wasn't like that." "You know it wasn't like that." "Then what was it like?" "Because I'm having trouble seeing it any other way." She was quiet for a long moment. "Can I come home? Can we try to work this out?" "No." "Just like that." "Just like that." I hung up and turned my phone to silent. Then I finished making dinner, opened a beer, and watched a movie I'd been wanting to see for months, the kind of action movie she always said was too loud and stupid. Friday afternoon, Ryan called. "How's the bachelor life treating you?" "Better than expected, honestly." "Want to grab dinner tonight? There's this new place downtown I've been wanting to try." We met at a steakhouse that had opened a few months ago, the kind of place she would have said was too expensive for a casual dinner. "You look good, man," Ryan said after we ordered. "Relaxed." "I feel relaxed. It's weird." Not weird. You've been walking on eggshells for years. Now you can just be yourself again. The waiter brought our steaks. Mine was cooked perfectly, exactly how I ordered it. When was the last time I'd ordered a steak without her commenting about red meat or asking the server 20 questions about how it was prepared? So what's the plan? Ryan asked. Divorce proceedings are moving forward. Should be final in a couple months if she doesn't contest it. Think she will? I think she'll try, but Carter says it won't matter much. She abandoned the marriage. She's living with another man. Pretty cut and dried. After dinner, we walked around downtown for a while. It was a nice evening, warm for October. I realized I couldn't remember the last time I just walked around without a specific destination or timeline. You know what's funny? I said as we headed back to our cars. What's that? I keep waiting to feel sad about this, or angry. But mostly I just feel relieved. That tells you everything you need to know right there. When I got home, there were 2 more voicemails from her. I deleted them without listening and went to bed early. Tomorrow was Saturday, and for the first time in months, I had no plans and no obligations, just a whole day to do whatever I wanted. The thought didn't make me anxious. It made me excited. 6 weeks after she left, the calls became desperate. Not just occasional evening calls, but multiple times a day. I'd wake up to 3 missed calls, check my phone at lunch to find 5 more, and come home to a voicemail box that was constantly full. I never answered. One evening, my neighbor Beatrice knocked on my door again. She had that look people get when they're bursting with gossip but trying to act casual. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, she said, but I thought you should know. I saw your wife at the grocery store yesterday. Okay. She looked rough, like she hadn't been sleeping. And she was arguing with some men on the phone in the parking lot, loud enough that other people were staring. I didn't respond, but Beatrice continued anyway. My cousin Helen works at the bank downtown. She said your wife came in last week trying to cash a check that bounced. Something about a loan that was supposed to be paid back. That got my attention. A loan. Apparently, she lent someone a significant amount of money, and when she tried to deposit their repayment check, it bounced. Helen said she seemed panicked about it. After Beatrice left, I sat in my kitchen thinking about what she'd told me. Marcus had convinced her to lend him money that apparently didn't exist, just like his sob story about being broke. My phone rang. Her number again. This time, I answered. Stop calling me. Please, just listen to me for 5 minutes. Her voice was hoarse, like she'd been crying for hours. You have 2 minutes. Marcus is gone. He left town 3 days ago. He took the money I lent him and just disappeared. I said nothing. I'm in trouble. Genuine trouble. I used money from our joint savings to help him, and now it's gone. I can't make the payments on my credit cards, and I don't have anywhere to stay. You made your choice. I know I did, and it was the wrong choice. I admit that. But I need help. Call your parents. I did. They won't talk to me. My dad said I made my bed and now I have to lie in it. Smart man. What about your sister? She said the same thing. Everyone thinks I'm an idiot for leaving you. They're not wrong. She started crying harder. I know I hurt you. I know I destroyed everything good we had. But I'm desperate here. I don't have anywhere else to turn. You should have thought about that before you left me for another man. It wasn't supposed to be like this. He said he just needed help getting back on his feet, and then we'd build something together. He made it sound like we had a future. And you believed him. I know how it sounds. I know I was naive, but I genuinely thought I was doing the right thing. I looked around my kitchen, clean counters, no dirty dishes in the sink, no clutter anywhere. The house had never been more organized or peaceful. Where are you staying now? A motel on Highway 9. The weekly rate place. It's all I can afford. Highway 9. I knew that area. It wasn't dangerous exactly, but it wasn't nice either. I'm sorry to hear that. Can I come home? Just temporarily, until I figure out my next step. No. Please. I'm not asking to get back together. I'm just asking for a place to stay while I sort out this mess. The answer is still no. Why? What would it hurt to let me sleep on the couch for a few weeks? I almost laughed. Because you're not my responsibility anymore. You left, remember? You chose Marcus over me. The fact that it didn't work out doesn't make it my problem. I made one mistake, one awful mistake. Does that really mean you're going to let me end up on the street? You didn't make one mistake. You made a series of choices. You chose to meet him behind my back. You chose to lend him money. You chose to leave me. You chose to trust him over me. Every step of this disaster was a choice you made. She was quiet for a long time. When she spoke again, her voice was barely a whisper. I know I don't deserve your help, but I'm asking anyway. And I'm saying no anyway. I hung up and turned off my phone for the rest of the night. The next morning, I had breakfast at that coffee shop again. Felix remembered my order. The usual. Actually, let me try something different today. He made me a simpler drink, black coffee with just a hint of vanilla. It was perfect. I sat by the window again, watching people start their day. A couple walked by holding hands, laughing about something. A businesswoman hurried past, checking her phone. A guy about my age jogged by with his dog. Normal people living normal lives, no drama, no manipulation, no one asking them to fix problems they didn't create. My phone buzzed with a text from my attorney, divorce papers ready for your review. Can you stop by this afternoon? I texted back, I'll be there at 3. When I got to Carter's office, he had everything laid out on his desk. She hasn't responded to any of our attempts at service, he said. We may need to publish notice in the newspaper if we can't locate her current address. Try the Weekly Inn on Highway 9. He raised an eyebrow but wrote it down. This should be wrapped up within the next month. She's got 30 days to respond once we serve her, but given her situation, I doubt she'll contest it. Walking back to my car, I felt something I hadn't experienced in years, complete control over my own life. No one else's problems to solve. No one else's poor decisions to manage. No one else's emotional drama to navigate. Just me, making my own choices, living with my own consequences. It felt incredible. 3 months in, and my life had found a rhythm I didn't know I was missing. I woke up when I wanted, ate what I wanted, watched what I wanted. The house stayed clean because I was the only one living in it. My stress levels were lower than they'd been in years. Work was going better, too. Without constant relationship drama weighing me down, I was more focused and productive. Janet had started giving me larger projects, and there was talk of another promotion. Meanwhile, the calls from her had stopped completely. I figured she'd finally gotten the message. Then Ryan called me with news. You remember my girlfriend Stephanie? She works at that diner on First Street. Yeah, what about her? She said your ex is working there now. Waiting tables. Stephanie says she looks terrible and is working double shifts just to make rent on some studio apartment. I was silent for a moment. Okay. That's it. Just okay. What do you want me to say? I don't know, man. Don't you feel bad for her at all? Should I? She's working herself to death at a diner. That's what people do when they need money. They work. Ryan was quiet for a bit. You've gotten pretty cold about this whole thing. No, I've gotten clear about it. There's a difference. The truth was, I didn't feel cold about it. I didn't feel much of anything about it. Her problems weren't my problems anymore, and that felt natural rather than cruel. A week later, my attorney called. We finally served her the papers. She's got 30 days to respond, but I wouldn't expect much of a fight. Her living situation suggests she can't afford legal representation. How long until it's final, assuming she doesn't contest? Probably another 6 weeks. That weekend, I did something I'd been thinking about for months. I went to the Tesla dealership. The same salesman who'd helped me before recognized me immediately. Hey, you're back. Still interested in that model you were looking at? Actually, I want something different. Something just for me. We spent 2 hours going over options. I test drove 3 different models and finally settled on a midnight blue Model S, performance package, premium interior, every feature I wanted. "This is a beautiful choice," the salesman said as we finished the paperwork. "Your wife is going to love it." "It's just for me," I corrected. "I'm divorced." He looked confused for a second, then recovered. "Well, you've got excellent taste. This car will serve you well." When I drove it home that evening, it felt like closing a chapter and starting a new one. The car I'd originally planned to surprise her with was gone, replaced by something that was entirely mine. Sunday afternoon, I was washing the Tesla in my driveway when Beatrice came over. "New car, new everything. It's gorgeous. You deserve something nice." "Thanks, Beatrice." As she walked away, a beat-up Honda pulled into my driveway. I didn't recognize the car, but I recognized the passenger, my ex-wife's sister, Lydia. She got out and walked over to me. The woman driving stayed in the car. "We need to talk," Lydia said. "No, we don't. She's in bad shape." "Like, genuinely bad shape." I continued drying the car. "That's unfortunate. She's working 2 jobs and can barely afford food. She lost 15 pounds in the last month, and she's family. I can't just watch her destroy herself." I stopped what I was doing and looked at Lydia directly. "She's your family, not mine." "Not anymore. You used to care about her. I used to be married to her. Things change. She made a mistake. She made a choice. Now she's living with the consequences of that choice. That's how life works." Lydia's face hardened. "You really don't care that she's struggling?" "I care about a lot of things. The homeless guy I see downtown every morning. Kids in foster care. People who get dealt a bad hand through no fault of their own. Your sister doesn't fall into any of those categories. So that's it. You're just going to let her hit rock bottom." She hit rock bottom the day she chose another man over her husband. Everything since then has just been the natural progression of that choice. Lydia stared at me for a long moment. "You've changed." "Yeah, I have. I stopped taking responsibility for other people's poor decisions." She got back in the Honda without another word. As they drove away, I could see my ex-wife in the passenger seat. She looked smaller somehow, but I felt nothing about it. I went back to washing my car. That evening, I called my parents for the first time in months. We talked for an hour about normal things, work, the weather, their plans for the holidays. It felt good to have a conversation that wasn't centered around relationship drama. "You sound happy," my mom said before we hung up. "I am happy." "Good. You deserve to be happy." As I got ready for bed that night, I realized she was right. I was happy, not because my ex was struggling, but because her struggles weren't my struggles anymore. I was free to be happy without having to manage anyone else's emotions or fix anyone else's mistakes. And that freedom was worth more than any Tesla. For months after she walked out of my life, she tried to walk back in. On a Tuesday night in November, it was raining hard enough that I could hear it hitting the windows from my living room, where I was reading a book I'd been meaning to get to for months. The doorbell rang at 9:30. Through the peephole, I saw not just her, but an entire delegation, her mother, her sister Lydia, some woman I didn't recognize who was probably her friend, and a man in a suit carrying a briefcase. I opened the door but didn't step aside to let them in. "Evening," I said calmly. She looked exactly like Stephanie had described, 15 pounds thinner, dark circles under her eyes, wearing a cheap raincoat that had seen better days. The woman who used to spend an hour getting ready just to go to the grocery store looked like she'd been sleeping in her car. "Can we come in?" she asked, her voice shaky. "We need to talk." "We can talk right here." The man in the suit stepped forward. "I'm Attorney Gregory Hayes. I represent Mrs. Ms., I corrected. "We're divorced as of last Friday." Actually, his confidence faltered for a moment. "Ms. Robertson. We're here to discuss a possible reconciliation." I almost laughed. "A reconciliation? You brought a lawyer to discuss getting back together?" Her mother spoke up. "She's learned her lesson. She knows she made a terrible mistake, and she's paid for it." "Has she now?" She's working 2 jobs just to survive, Lydia added. She's barely eating, barely sleeping. She gets it now. She understands what she threw away. I looked at each of them, then back at my ex-wife. So let me understand this. You brought your mother, your sister, your friend, and a lawyer to my house at 9:30 at night in the rain to tell me you've learned your lesson. I know how it looks, she said, stepping closer. But I had to try. I had to make you understand how sorry I am, how much I regret what I did. And you thought an intervention was the way to do that. The attorney cleared his throat. There are legal avenues we could explore if you're amenable to. Stop. I held up my hand. Let me save everyone some time here. I stepped onto the porch, closing the door behind me. All 5 of them were now standing in the rain, looking up at me expectantly. For months ago, you told me that Marcus needed you more than I did. You left our marriage to go help another man. You took money from our joint account to loan to him. You lied to me for months before you left, sneaking around behind my back. I know, but I'm not finished. My voice was calm but firm. You chose him over me, not once, but repeatedly. You chose to believe his lies over trusting your husband. You chose to prioritize his needs over our marriage. You chose to leave. The rain was getting heavier, but nobody moved. Now Marcus is gone. Your money is gone. Your family won't help you. And you're working at a diner, trying to pay rent on a studio apartment. And suddenly, you want to come back. It's not like that, she said desperately. Then what is it like? I made a mistake. A huge mistake. But people make mistakes. People learn from them. We can rebuild from this. I shook my head. You didn't make a mistake. You made a choice. You saw what you wanted, and you took it. The only thing you're sorry about is that it didn't work out the way you planned. Her friend stepped forward. She's been punished enough. She's learned her lesson. Punished. I looked at her directly. You think working for a living is punishment? You think facing the consequences of your own decisions is punishment? She loved you, her mother said. She still loves you. No, she doesn't. She loves the idea of not having to work 2 jobs. She loves the idea of having financial security again. She loves the idea of not being responsible for her own poor choices. The attorney tried again. If there were financial arrangements that could be made. You want to pay me to take her back? I actually laughed at that. What's the going rate for accepting a woman who abandoned her marriage for another man? My ex-wife started crying. Please. I know I don't deserve it, but I'm asking for another chance. You want another chance? I asked. Let me tell you about chances. I had a chance to surprise you with a Tesla the night you left me. Instead, I kept the keys in my pocket and watched you walk out. I had a chance to chase after you, to beg you to stay, to fight for our marriage. I didn't. I had a chance to answer your calls, to let you back into my life, to be your safety net when Marcus disappeared. I didn't take that chance either. And you know what? Every chance I didn't take turned out to be the right choice. I pulled out my own keys, the ones to the midnight blue Tesla sitting in my garage. You bought a Tesla anyway, she whispered. I did. A better one. For myself. The rain was soaking through everyone's clothes now, but I wasn't done. Here's what's going to happen. You're all going to get back in your cars and drive away. You're going to accept that this marriage is over, that I've moved on, and that showing up at my door with a legal team isn't going to change anything. But where am I supposed to go? She asked. What am I supposed to do? The same thing every other adult does when they make bad choices, you figure it out yourself. I turned to go back inside, then stopped. Oh, and one more thing. Don't come here again. Don't call. Don't text. Don't send people to speak for you. We're done. We've been done since the night you chose Marcus over me. Tonight doesn't change that. I went back inside and locked the door. Through the window, I watched them stand in my driveway for another few minutes, probably trying to figure out their next move. Eventually, they got back in their cars and left. I poured myself a glass of whiskey and sat back down with my book. The rain continued to beat against the windows, but inside my house, everything was perfectly quiet. My phone stayed silent for the rest of the night. And for the first time in 4 months, I knew it would stay that way.